So the Cincinnati Bengals saved their season last night in a 1916 win. Joe Burrow was not great, but good enough to get the 3-point victory. And he talked after the game, partially why he decided to play and why this game was season-saving. Yeah, I mean, listen, to be fair, he's right. Still a lot of football to be played, 14 games left. But most teams don't come back from 0-3 because you're just chasing, it's like a dog chasing its tail. You never get back to where you need to be. They're good enough to make a run. No one disputes that. But even last night, I think what you said about 20 minutes ago, both of you guys, resonated with me because I watched that game the same way. Every time that he dropped back to throw the ball, I'm wondering, is this the play that his season ends on?
Yeah, for me it was. Every time I watched him, even the start of the game, I was sitting back, man, like he just didn't look comfortable. At times, when he's in a pocket, he knows how to get rid of the football. He knows where he's going with the ball. But if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you have to ask your question: how long can you live in this world? How long can you live in this world where you're talking about your starting franchise quarterback dealing with this calf injury?
Not just that, really. The thing that gets me is the fact that Joe Mixon was having a good game, right? They allowed Joe Burrow to throw the ball essentially 50 times last night. That's called desperation. That's a coaching staff going, if we go 0-3, our season is over.
Sure.
And we can't have that. Because you put that guy in harm's way. No joke. 49 times last night.
But also, this is a soft tissue injury, so this isn't going away. And the more he puts pressure on himself to get out there and play, the more he practices on it, it's just going to linger and linger and linger. I don't know if he makes it to the bye week healthy. I don't know if he even, once he gets to the bye week, he comes out of it healthy. The problem is, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you're watching this man play, you're pretty much closing your eyes. Praying that when he gets sacks or when he gets out of the pocket that he doesn't blow his calf in the kid.
But I'm trying to listen, I watch these games. I know we got to talk about the next day, so I'm trying to watch it for angles of, what are Bengal fans talking about? What are Rams fans talking about? What are gamblers talking about? All that stuff, right? What I don't understand is if you know the guy is injured, and he clearly is, and you do have a good, maybe not great, but a good running attack and an offensive line that's supposed to be a strength of your team right now because they did upgrade. They brought in a new left tackle, Brown from Kansas City. They're supposed to be good. And last night I'm going, you just had that guy throw the ball 49 times. Like you're brain dead.
And the Bengals had 2 picks defensively, so that's what squeaked them out of the game. I don't know. I'm worried about Joe Burrow. I am. I'm not sitting here saying that I feel confident about what he did last night. What I'm saying is, week after week, you're going into this holding your breath, rubbing holy water on his calf, and praying to God he doesn't blow his.
That's the thing. So I'm watching the game, and after the game, you hear Joe Burrow say, I didn't want to go 0-3. It's like, you know what? Okay, guys, you took a gamble, you played out there, you toughed it out, you won. You're not 0-3. Good job, you win. But it's almost like me putting a blindfold on and being like, I made it across the highway, guys. It's like, cool. You made it across the highway, but don't make that a practice. Don't do that every day. You know what I mean? That's the concern that I have.
I believe they call that game Frogger, just for reference on this. But now you got to do it every week, right? And you're right. 49 times that dude's back. I'm going, here it comes. Here it comes. So thankfully, from a Cincinnati perspective, as far as we know, he didn't injure it more than what it was. There were a couple of throws there last night where clearly he's favoring one leg over another. But they also didn't get in the end zone. And when you have Joe Burrow drop back 49 times, and you have a big night, of course, from Jamar Chase, I'm watching that game going, first off, that's too many throws for Burrow. But secondly, what happened to T. Higgins?
Catch the ball,
right?
It was ugly for T. Higgins, especially on the night where you honor Chad Ochocinco, right? Like you want to look good in front of company, and he didn't look good. Jamar Chase obviously had a good day, but if it's Joe Burrow, man, it's a situation where if I'm his offensive line, now it's more pressure on me because you look at the impact that it had on Dwayne Brown. Getting Aaron Rodgers hurt, right? Like Dwayne Brown being a savvy vet, went in his locker room, damn near cried, went to Aaron and said, man, I'm sorry. I love you. It wasn't my fault. And then Aaron was like, well, it kind of was, but I still love you. And so you don't, from an offensive line standpoint, it puts pressure on you because you can only protect so much. You know that every defense going forward is going to come after Joe Burrow. You're going to blitz him and push him out of the pocket because he can't run. And this is a quarterback that did have legs last year.
Now, the one thing I thought Cincinnati was very smart about, although I thought they threw the ball far too much for that kind of game, was about half his throws, 24 out of the 49 attempts, were short passes.
Yes.
Meaning quick, pop, let it go.
Out.
Quick, pop, let it go. 5 yards, 8 yards, that kind of stuff. That's way too confusing for me to follow. But the idea is that
short.
He wasn't standing back there waiting for the line to collapse.
But Craig,
you know what I'm saying?
Even when he was in the pocket, there's times where he squared up in the pocket, and when he wanted to get off that back toe, when he wanted to push off that leg, he really couldn't. So he was just kind of throwing everything from his hip and whipping it.
Yeah.
I think he's in trouble. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I can tell you this: he throws 49 times again the next couple of weeks. He ain't going to make it to.
And that's the issue.
But congrats to Cincinnati, huge win. I think we all agree probably saved their season, and they get to 1-2. When you consider the fact, that Pittsburgh's 2-1, Baltimore's 2-1, Cleveland's 2-1. The Cincinnati Bengals are a game out. Not bad.
They're a game
out. Considering the fact that the quarterback's banged up. Not bad, Will.
But in the division, across the board, everybody's defense can play hard-nosed football. Yep. And you're dealing with a quarterback right now who can't get out the pocket.
All right, listen, today is Tuesday still, I think, right?
It is Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
So on Tuesday, we do a little segment called Yeah, But.
Oh.
Yeah, look at handsome Craig right there. All right, I'm very honest with the audience. I have no idea what this first one is, so I'm crossing it out. All right, the second one for Yeah, But is
Why'd you cross it out?
Yeah. Robert Saleh said that Zach Wilson is his starting quarterback. And General Manager Joe Douglas says that Zach Wilson is our starting quarterback. And Zach Wilson is going to start for the Jets against the Kansas City Chiefs. But Joe Namath thinks he's a
Namath, not a fan.
Look at Joe Namath. I didn't take anything positive out of it. His performance was awful.
It was awful.
Disgusting. Disgusting. I wouldn't keep him. I've seen enough of Zach Wilson. That's the great Joe Namath.
And you can just picture Joe in his chair like, just throwing things. I mean, that was a hostile comment by Joe, but he wasn't wrong, man. We've seen enough out of Zach Wilson. There's enough tape to prove that he's just not competent to play the position at the level they needed to play within that offense. I watched that press conference with Robert Saleh yesterday.
Yes.
And I wanted to crawl underneath the desk because in his heart of hearts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
See? Okay. And so my point is, I don't know how he stood up there and did that. Like, I couldn't. I was like, man, you guys are right. All he has to tell the media, you're right. Everything you're seeing is right. Everything's fair. But he had to sit there and save Zach Wilson's image. Yeah. And I don't know if he can do it anymore.
The closest he came to being really critical of Zach Wilson's performance. And look, we all know the stats. He's the lowest rated quarterback in the history of football. It's not even close, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Josh Rosen's right there with him. Just trying to, I said I'd never lie.
Yeah, factually correct.
It's Josh Rosen and Zach Wilson. Yeah, my question is, who's on celebrity? Never mind. It's coming though. Dr. Phil, I don't know what happened.
Right.
It all went south.
It was a
made me
mistake.
quarterback. The reality though is this: Joe Namath has been and is the biggest cheerleader for the New York Jets. Good times and bad times. He'll take his shots now and then, and we always go to him in times of crisis, of course, because he's the greatest Jet of all time. And God bless him, he's still got it upstairs, and he watches every Jet game. For Joe Namath to publicly come out and go, that kid is trash, I never want to see him again, tells you all you need to know about the reality of Zach's performance.
And on top of that, if you're really Joe Namath, you want to be welcomed back into the building. So he's been able to kind of tread lightly as far as his comments. So for him to kind of hit his rock bottom or seen enough, that means he means it and he's honest
But
about
amazingly, Joe Douglas and my man Robert Saleh just do not see it that way. Or, they've got someone tied up in a basement and they have to say these things.
Here's my question.
To save lives.
If you look at Joe Douglas's phone, how many outgoing calls to other GMs must there be on there?
I think
must
there's 3
be on the phone.
I don't think there's more than that. They have had conversations about veteran quarterbacks, but I don't think it's as much as you might think. I know a couple guys have reached out to them. They've shown no interest in those guys that aren't playing. And I do know that he's reached out, but there's been a very lukewarm at best response to guys wanting to come play.
Yeah.
And I don't get that because there's talent all over the place, just not at quarterback.
But at this point, if you're the Jets offense, you realize you're not able to compete right now. You can't compete with this man in the position. How do you think you're going to win next week against the Kansas City Chiefs?
We're not. I mean,
it's one thing to believe, like, we got a shot, we can go in there, we can do something. They don't have a shot before you even walk on the field.
No, that game's over at halftime for sure. Hey there, thank you so much for watching The Carton Show. You can subscribe right here to get all the latest bits and segments from the show. And by the way, while you're at it, we have a lot of great shows on FS1, so check them out too.